Yo, what's up, everyone? My name is Andre, and this is the Tennis and Bagels podcast, the podcast about essentially everything tennis. And today's a special moment for me because this is the first time that I actually get to have somebody else with me in this call. And no, he's not by my side. He's in his house, and I'm in my house. But yeah, this is a big friend of mine that I used to play with before he moved away and before COVID-19 prevented us from actually doing anything together. But yeah, he's here today, and I'm going to just be having a little chat with him about essentially recreational tennis and amateur tennis in general. So without further ado, he is Frédéric Desumy, in French, Frédéric Desumy. And this interview, Fred, is going to be entirely in English, so if you can speak in English 100% of the time, that'd be great. So yeah, for those who don't know, Fred is fully bilingual. He's born and raised in Montreal area, and yeah. What's up, Fred?
Hello, Andre. Thank you for having me. It's good to be here.
Yeah. So can you just tell us, my audience of 8, a little bit about yourself and like where you're from? Essentially, I already said that, but like, what you doing right now, in life, just so that we get a picture that you're not like somebody that is like, oh yeah, I'm like a freaking journalist and I write for like a local about like small tournaments and whatnot. Like you do nothing professionally about tennis, right?
Nothing tennis related, no. I'm an everyday guy. I grew up in Quebec on the South Shore. I'm an engineer by trade, so my full-time job is being an electrical engineer. And I like it a lot. I work in Brampton, Ontario, in the space industry, something I'm really passionate about. And I play tennis on the weekends when I can. I started playing tennis maybe 6 years ago, and I've been playing it recreationally since then.
Cool. So yeah, like since you said like you started playing 6 years ago, right? So what made you start like playing?
I always liked racket sports. I liked ping pong a lot as a kid. I used to play in high school at during lunch. I was one of those kids that played ping pong. And when I got older, I decided to buy a racket, and me and my friend went to the park and we just started to play tennis. I was always kind of intrigued by it. It looked like something that was going to be fun, and stuck with it. I liked it a lot, and it became a hobby of mine.
Yeah. Was this racket that you bought the one that I broke?
Yes, it is actually the orange one. Yeah.
Yeah. There's like a fun story. Like when you and I were playing, one of the first times that we actually went out playing, right?
Yeah.
So I think both of my rackets had, I have 4 rackets right now, but at the time I had like, 2?
Yeah,
and
2,
both of them had the broken strings.
Yeah.
And Fred had 2 rackets, and I borrowed one from him. And by the end of that day, the racket was kind of like twisted to the side. It was like it was not in the format that a racket should be.
Yeah, they were both from Walmart. If you feel bad in the audience, don't.
I thought it was Canadian Tire, but yeah, good moments. And since we added, like I had this question a little bit further down, but like now that we're talking about fun moments and fun memories, I have a few of funny memories from playing with you. Do you have any fun memories about playing maybe with me or somebody else that like something happened or whatever?
In tennis. Oh,
yeah, like when you're playing, or I don't know.
I just remember I guess we might get more into that a little bit later, but I just remember the first summers that I played tennis being so bad. And the funny thing is, it's not a fun memory. I hated it. Playing tennis when you're bad at it is it's not fun. But thinking about myself kind of back then is a fun memory. How much I've come. But I do remember one time. So in Brampton, I played in a tennis club, and this one time, me and this guy had a really long rally. I didn't think anything of it, but then I turned around. This guy looked at me like with a not bad face, And I remember the joy that I felt from external validation from an actual good tennis player. I'll never
Wow.
forget that. It was great. I don't know what
Yeah.
I did, but it was good enough for this guy to go, oh, not bad.
Well, it's good to know that you never felt that with me when I gave you my thumbs ups.
Sorry, Andre.
I guess I'm not good enough for you. You needed somebody better, like a stranger.
Nothing better
Yeah.
than validation from a stranger.
Yeah, that's kind of true, actually. That's why I'm doing this podcast thing, validation. No, not true, not true. Yeah, I have since you mentioned that like your first memory, like when you first went out playing tennis, um it wasn't in my plans, but I actually forgot to tell this in my latest episode where I explained my story a little bit with tennis. And there was a fun fact that I completely forgot to mention is that the first time ever that I went to the tennis, like a tennis academy. So I obviously didn't have anything. I didn't have a racket. I was just like wearing running shoes because it's like that day where it's kind of like, oh yeah, just pick up a racket and like see whether you like it or not. And like so like there's like this moment where the teacher kind of like tells you like the actual movement that you should do, and like how you should kind of like move to the ball and whatever. But like, and he sent a shot to like he sent just kind of like he fed a ball to my forehand, and I obviously had zero footwork at that time, but like the ball like came straight like into my body, and I kind of panicked. I didn't know what to do, and next thing I know, I'm just kind of like swinging the racket into the ball, but the ball is like in front of me. So I essentially just like went. The racket just like went straight into my face. It was like I hit my nose.
Oh,
The first ever time that I ever tried to hit a tennis ball.
that was your
It,
first
it
ever
hit,
tennis swing?
yeah, my first ever swing of a racket was in my nose. Well, that's some perseverance stories right there. Yeah.
So you've also come a long way.
Yeah. I remember two things that from playing with you, I remember two really funny things. That one of the time is like when we were first starting to play, and I've taught Fred a bunch of my techniques and stuff. I was kind of like quote unquote coaching him in a way, like, but you never really wanted to do the runs around the court, right? So
Nope.
nope. The so yeah, like if you paid me, maybe you'd have a little bit more. You wanted to get a bit more out of it, but like since it was free, yeah. So one of those first times, what happens is like you asked me to do a serve on you, like a first serve, and I'm kind of like a short guy. I'm like 177, so my serves it's kind of like a 60% on a good day of first serves in. But that one time I kind of like nailed the serve. I don't know if you remember that time, Fred, but like I knocked the racket out of your hand because
It's a memory I try to suppress. Actually,
more than your first day at tennis.
yes.
Yeah, but that moment was just funny because first of all, I never expect that to happen ever, like in my entire life. I thought it was kind of like an anime type of thing. And second is because like I just kind of like I know my serve is not that hard, but I just kind of like put on the attitude. It's like, you just kind of like you have to catch up with me at this point, Yeah, and the other one time was like there was this point that we were playing. This time you were already much better, and you got way better in volleying as well. And your forehand was actually like it evolved a lot like through the years that we've played together. Like what, 2 years that we played together?
I think so. Yeah, 2 years.
Yeah. So the one time we were playing a point, and I went into the net and just kind of like do a drop volley, and then you came to the net and you tried to pass me, and I reach out and I do a volley, but like when I look up to you, you're just kind of like celebrating the point that you didn't win.
I remember that.
That was so funny.
Yeah, it
There
sounds
is-
like me too. Something I would do.
Yeah, and he was like, "What? How did you get that back?" Yeah, that's because I do the runs around the court.
Good answer.
Yeah, yeah. So, why do you feel like you enjoy the sport since the first time was so bad?
I don't know. I guess, well, I do really like individual sports. I'm not a big team sports guy. It's just, I don't really like the pressure of having to, either carry other people or other people having to carry me. So I do like the aspect of tennis where you get in the zone and you're in your own head a lot.
Yeah.
And really having to focus and do your shots right. And I also like that tennis is a very technical sport. I think I can appreciate it more than I can play it. But I can appreciate a really nice forehand, I can appreciate a really nice volley, and look at all the things that go into it.
Yeah, it's kind of pretty much it for me. Like, I really like the feeling when I hit a forehand winner. Like, I don't know, I just like when the ball just goes straight out from your racket, and it just kind of feels good. Yeah. And you also said like you're like me in a sense, like I just really like racket sports. We actually played a bunch of them together. We played ping pong and squash a few times together. And by the way, in squash you got so good. I remember one time you just completely destroyed me. I was just running around the court and I just couldn't get to the ball. You're just so good.
I like playing squash with you a lot because it's an actual sport where there was actual competition, both squash and ping pong. Tennis, we're in two different leagues, but in squash and ping pong, we got really good games in both of those sports.
It's true. Yeah. I like, ping pong was like, I feel like it's like one of the sports that we actually get the most competitive, especially because we're not fit at this point in life. So it's kind of like we have to run less so we can play more games.
I love the honesty, but yes, that's 100% correct.
So how do you feel like they compare, like in tennis and squash? And I don't know if you've played badminton before.
In high school, but I never really liked it. But if I were to compare tennis, ping pong, and squash, I would think, I don't know if that's correct, but I would think that tennis is a little bit more technical than the other two ones. I personally feel like it's easier to pick up ping pong and squash. I remember, the first times I played squash, it was really fun, off the bat. I remember picking up a racket at the rental thing, going to play, buying a ball for the first time and just hitting it and having a blast with my friends. But like I said, that first summer of playing tennis, the ball would go everywhere.
Yeah,
you probably had this feeling if you... Yeah, exactly. If you remember when you started playing tennis, you remember this feeling of having to go in somebody else's court to get your ball and being like, I'm sorry. Or having to go outside the fence to get your ball and having to run back. I found tennis really hard at first, but squash is a bit easier for me to pick up.
True. Yeah, it feels like those sports are far more friendlier, like in terms of just kind of like, you can be pretty bad and still like have some good rallies and good competitive fun.
Yeah.
Whereas in tennis, like in tennis, I feel like you can beat yourself up way quicker than in those sports. Like you can easily shoot a ball out or into the net, and like all of a sudden it's like this is not fun anymore. I'm just kind of like trying my best to like, Yeah,
no, agreed. I think it's easier to give up on tennis than the other two sports.
Yeah, actually.
And then ping pong. So ping pong's great, and it's a sport. But if I want a good cardio workout, I'm not going to play ping pong. It's a great thing to do, at the cottage or in a basement somewhere. It can get really competitive. I think I play at a level where I actually, I can get a good sweat out of it, but I think the average person won't sweat while they're playing ping pong.
That's probably true. I mean, unless you play like for an entire day, like it probably would be hard to like actually get too tired from playing ping pong.
Yeah, agreed.
Also, I'm pretty sure that like ping pong fans are now like ripping their hearts out because we're saying ping pong instead of table tennis. I
know. I'm sorry. Table tennis. Yeah.
Table tennis. Like let's put some respect here.
Table tennis. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. So, because you're an amateur player and like obviously like we're in completely different paths like in the tennis like world and whatnot. And I actually really like that about tennis is that like you can appreciate it and you can enjoy it even without kind of like trying to do some much more about it. Like, but like I really love like staying up for like those 6 hours matches and like I follow the rankings and stuff like that. And at some point, I'm pretty sure I knew all top 50 players, but at this point I forgot. Yeah, but how do you consume tennis? Like as a person that is mostly concerned with the recreational and fun aspect of it.
So it's funny. I'm. This is a pretty unpopular opinion, but I hate watching sports. I don't enjoy watching sports, and that's just me. I know it's not like most people. So
I actually knew a guy that was the one of the coaches for the Royal of Montreal, the Ultimate Frisbee team.
uh-huh.
He said he never watched sports because he only liked playing them.
Wow. Okay. I need
Yeah.
to meet that guy because that's
Yeah.
me to a T. Uh, I don't really enjoy watching, especially. I think there's a couple things. I don't enjoy sitting down for too long. I'm a really energetic guy, so I enjoy going out and actually doing things and moving. And my attention span is not the best. So for me, staying focused for a Grand Slam game could be like 5 hours, right? 5+ hours.
Yeah.
So it's not my favorite thing to just sit down and watch two people do something I would want to be doing. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. True.
But I really do enjoy playing tennis. I love playing tennis. So I consume to a moderate amount. I would say I watch highlights. I do follow kind of the ATP circuit a little bit. I try to know who's in the top 10 right now. Try to know who's hot, who's won the latest Grand Slams. I have slowed down in the past months, even before COVID, just because of work and life and stuff. But I do enjoy watching, a nice highlight run.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's true. Actually, and you also love to we send each other like lots of good shots and stuff like that, right? Like
Yes.
on Facebook and Instagram.
Yeah, I follow ATP and some other tennis pages on Facebook and Instagram, and I love to see the crazy Kyrgios shot or the crazy Tsitsipas shot.
Yeah. Yeah, I really love those. Actually, if I go on my page on Facebook on my phone, like if I turn off to video, I think it's 98% is just like hot shots from tennis. And some of them are actually the funny ones, like like when you do some of them are just kind of like complete fails, and it's kind of hilarious too because it really shows like, oh yeah, I can do that too. Yeah.
Yeah, some of them are so funny. When there's shoe breaks, when does a professional athlete shoe ever break?
When does that shoe ever break? That's kind of
Right?
hilarious. Yeah. It's like, honestly, like my shoes have holes in them, but like they never really broke down.
Yeah, same. I've had really shoes in really bad shape, but it never broke.
Yeah. Like there was in the ATP Cup this year, like they just, I don't know if you followed that at all. It's like the like world tour for tennis, but it's complicated. You can watch my episode later if you want to.
Will do.
Yeah, it was like the first or second episode that I did. So, Tsitsipas actually, his laces broke, and it was kind of like his shoelaces broke. It's like how do shoelaces break?
Interesting. No, I mean, as rare as it is, the only ones I saw was the sole breaking, but the laces, that's really funny.
Yeah. And did you know actually that if you're supposed to have your own stuff on court with you, right? So if you don't have enough stuff, you can be disqualified. So if you break all your rackets, you're gone.
Wow, really?
Yeah, there's no way back from this. So you gotta be careful with your equipment when you're on court.
Jeez.
Yeah. And yeah, I mentioned that like in one of my podcasts about like following highlights and consuming tennis in that way, because like honestly, this is actually the way most of us people who are not journalists and like traveling over the world for stories, that's the majority, that's essentially the way that we actually consume tennis, I guess, is by just going online and just kind of like watching quick highlights for like 10 minutes. Yeah. And it's so frustrating, like when I go on YouTube, I don't know if you follow on YouTube, but the quality of the video is so low. It's kind of, are you kidding me? It's kind of like you guys like doing like 4K live video, and you don't have like a sensible quality video for your audience on YouTube. It's kind of, I don't understand.
I've never noticed that.
Yeah.
And you're saying YouTube as compared to like Facebook or as compared to TV?
I think as compared to Facebook, but mostly because Facebook I'm mostly watching on my phone, whereas like on YouTube I'm mostly on my desktop.
I see.
Yeah, so like I can actually see like how pixelated it is. Like it's kind of, it doesn't make that much sense for me. And the ATP actually doesn't upload that many highlights and stuff. Like the ATP is actually not the ATP, the WTA is far more advanced in terms of their content on YouTube.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Maybe right now they're kind of catching up because they have the time to, and
Right.
if they don't do anything on social media, they have nothing to show. So
Yeah.
So, do you care at all about stats and records
Do you mean about myself or for professionals?
for professionals? So, like, say Federer, like, whether he is like the greatest of all time, or like who's gonna end up their career with the most Grand Slams or match record.
I definitely care to a certain extent. I think for tennis conversation, you always want to bring up the highlights. I would say that's most of what makes a player great. But then for my personal enjoyment of tennis, not at all. I like different players for different reasons. And, the obvious example that comes to mind is Gaël Monfils. Very talented player. I think everybody can agree. He's a really good player, one of the best that's still playing right now. But I don't think he's won a Grand Slam, right?
No, I think he got as far as a semifinal, which is
Right.
actually pretty impressive for how his mental game isn't that great.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but honestly, Monfils is the type of guy that when I watch him, I am surprised that he's not like constantly top 3 and like challenging the big guys, because that guy has game, man. Like
Right.
he has every single shot on the book, shots that he invented, and he's athletic as heck. Like
I was going to say his athleticism is crazy. It's off the charts.
yeah,
It's really impressive to watch.
he runs balls that are kind of like, how on earth can you do that? And his flexibility is also really intense, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like his speed, his flexibility, and his footwork. I think those are the things that I love from Gaël.
I think not necessarily very underrated, but I really love his forehand. I think it's underrated in the grand scheme of things in terms of like comparing to Nadal or Federer.
Right.
Like I feel like Monfils' forehand is actually one of the best on tour, because he hits that shot so flat, and sometimes he can put up so much spin.
Yeah,
I think he's capable of so much, and I would say he has a better forehand than Djokovic, honestly.
I think so.
I think so, yeah. Because I find Djokovic kind of gets a little too tense on his forehand, so like he tends to spin it way too much. Whereas like I feel like Monfils like plays it super freely.
I see. Yeah, I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
Wait, so how do you feel about stats and numbers for a tennis player?
I'm kind of like crazy about it. Obviously like right now I don't have that much time, but like before, like say when I was in CEGEP or in beginning in university, like I had a lot more free time, I guess, in my hands. So I would just kind of like go on and like read player stats and like compare like percentages and head-to-heads, and I would even like look at like deeper down, like on a game or on a serve or the surfaces that they've played and stuff like that. So I'm actually really interested in looking at stats and kind of like comparing those in that way. But the more I look into stats, the more like I figure that just kind of like you can only compare a player to himself,
right?
Because it's kind of like, I mean, there's obviously like some players that win more and like they prove to be better in a lot of ways. But like if you're looking at legends of tennis, there's no way you can compare Nadal and Federer, for example, because they've accomplished so many different things and they're so outstanding in so many different ways.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like, yeah. I like stats, but I'm most just kind of like following just kind of like how grand or how impressive something is to do. Like, for example, Nadal winning 12 Roland Garros tournaments is a pretty impressive feat.
It is.
Yeah. I remember like actually when he broke the 6 titles record from Bjorn Borg. Bjorn Borg is a player from the 80s. I don't know if you know him.
Yeah, I know Bjorn Borg.
Oh, cool. So he had the previous record was his. Like he had six titles in Roland Garros, and now 6 seems so little.
It does. How many does Federer have, Roland Garros? Do you know?
He has 1.
Really?
Yeah, because he faced Nadal like 4 times in the final.
That makes sense.
So yeah, if it wasn't for Nadal, he would have had like far more Grand Slams. But same goes for Nadal. If it wasn't for Federer, he would have a couple more.
Mm-hmm.
If it wasn't for Djokovic, Federer would have like 30 titles at this point.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. So, since we at it, like, who's your favorite player?
Oh man. Uh Favorite player is definitely Roger Federer.
Hmm.
Gotta go with RF.
Think I knew that.
No, I love Roger Federer. Um Learning tennis, he was really my inspiration for a lot of my shots.
Hmm.
I love his form. Watching Roger Federer like do like a slow mo, watching a slow mo of his forehand is, I think I could do that for a pretty long time. I said I didn't have a long
Yeah,
attention span, but I'll have some attention for Federer's forehand. His
that's
form is
crazy.
just unparalleled to me.
Yeah, honestly, I feel like Federer is kind of like the prettiest to watch. Like in the sense, like he makes it look so easy and so
That's a
fluid.
really good word. Prettiest. I
Yeah,
100%
yeah,
agree.
yeah, yeah. It's like it's the one player from because I've watched Nadal, Djokovic, and Murray playing, but I've never seen Roger Federer live. And
Oh,
that's kind of
okay.
like, and I'm getting like every year that passes, I get more scared that I'm never gonna because he's 38 now, and I'm like, oh my gosh, is he gonna
Is he
retire?
38 now?
He's 38 now, yeah,
Wow. Last time
and
I
he's
checked
so
up on his age, he
impressively
was
good.
35. 3 years ago.
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah.
38.
I wish he was 35 because if he were 35, maybe I'd have more
More
chances to see
chance,
him.
yeah.
But I don't think I'm hoping I'm gonna be able to watch him. Maybe next year
Mm-hmm.
if he comes to Montreal. Hopefully he comes to Montreal because I'm not gonna be able to descend to go to the US just to watch him play, man. It's
Yeah,
like,
no.
yeah, so that would be really sad.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's kind of like one of my goals is to watch him live. But yeah, so you said you essentially just kind of like Roger Federer because he's essentially the coolest to watch in a sense, right?
Yeah, no, I don't know what about it. I think you said it right when you said he makes it looks easy.
Mm,
And it's actually one of the things that was kind of frustrating when I was learning tennis is, so I never had a coach or I never took a lesson. So what I would do is I would
mm,
watch slow-mo shots of Roger Federer. And that's essentially how I learned to play. So I would,
mm.
on repeat, watch his forehand, study it, and then go to the court and play with you or play with other friends and try and copy it. But I couldn't get it. And it looks
Yeah,
so easy when he did it. And his motion is fairly simple, right? It's not like Nadal seems to have like 30-step forehand. Roger
yeah,
Federer, holds up the racket, puts it down at the, people will say like put it on the table and then hits it,
yeah.
swings, and then that's it. It's a very simple motion, but it's
It's
really
true.
hard to master. It's that muscle memory that's hard to acquire.
Hmm. And it's one of the things that I've kind of like come across like when I'm in my experience is just I can master all the movement like all I want, but like as soon as the ball is coming and when I hit the ball is a completely different feel. It's kind of it just kind of feels like you're just kind of like pushing the ball to the other side. I just don't know exactly what I'm doing anymore. Like as soon as the ball hits the racket, like it hits the fan. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, I can
It's
definitely speak to that, and I
yeah,
think it's easy to emulate and to, how do you say, recreate like in slow motion the shot, right? Because you can actually
yeah,
think about every step. But when it comes to
yeah.
being on the court and you have to rely purely on muscle memory, that's a whole other business. That's how he practiced the shot thousands and thousands of times to get it right without having to think about it.
True. So you said you also said you don't have a coach, and I haven't had a coach in a while too. But are you ever interested in like actually taking lessons, like whether it's private or in group? What do you think about
Um,
this?
yeah, I think there's always something to learn. I mean, I'm nowhere near what I would call a good tennis player. So I think
Hmm.
in my case specifically, there's always something to learn. But even if I were better, I think there's always something to perfect. I love playing with people that are better than me because they
Hmm.
usually, give a lot of unsolicited advice, which is sometimes annoying, but most times it's appreciated. And I think there's a lot of things I could work on. My backhand is still not really where I would want it to be, and my
Hmm.
serve isn't. So there's specific things I could think of where coaching
Yeah,
could be very really useful.
yeah. Actually, I think the serve is one of the most um key parts of like having a coach. Like really helps
Yeah.
from yeah. Because I guess like when you're in the heat of the game, like almost anything goes. Whereas like in the sense like when you're serving, you really have to start your motion right. Like it's the only time in the game that you actually have 100% of the time to do this perfectly.
Oh, I agree. I think other shots are, I don't want to say easier, but well, yeah, no, I guess I would say easier to learn without a coach. By just seeing, watching, emulating. You can learn how to do a volley, learn how to do a forehand and backhand. But when it comes to serve, your timing, it's timing is so, how do you say? It's so specific. You have to get a really specific timing that it's hard to just do by emulating. You'd have to have somebody tell you exactly what the steps are and where you're messing
True.
up.
Yeah. I actually once the only time I actually try to watch some YouTube videos about serving, and the one that I never could get right was the second serve. Like that one's for me is like it's a mystery. I have no idea how to pull that off.
Still to this day?
I can't. Sorry?
Still to this day?
Man, yeah. Like, I mean, I can sort of bend the ball a little bit so that it goes on the court, but it's so slow. It just kind of feels like just like attack me. You know what I mean? It's really bad. Like, and the pros just kind of like to just kind of like unleash their arms. Kind of feels like an elastic, like a slingshot or whatever. And the ball just kind of like bends in the air. It just kind of like goes down, and it just kicks out, and it's so strong. It's like they can serve second serves like conservative second serves at about like 160 170 miles per hour.
Jeez, yeah.
And that's like not miles per hour, like kilometers per hour. If that was miles per hour, that would be ridiculous. Like kilometers per hour. And honestly, like I feel like the fastest serve that I've ever measured for me was like 160 first serve. But it's kind of, I have no idea how to even get any more power on my second serve. Like it's
but still, it's really fast to me, even for a first serve. So I'm impressed by the first serve.
Yeah, I guess it's pretty effective in the recreational level. But as I said, I'm too short, so I'm considered a bad server just by my stature.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yep, exactly. Like there are some players that if you actually look up, like if you watch some matches, like for example from David Ferrer and say Andy Murray or Djokovic, Ferrer kind of looks short, right? But he's a little bit taller than I am. He's like 180, like 180, 181. And Djokovic and Murray, they're all like 190 and 94. So they tend to be pretty tall, and for like an average, like I guess person, but
yeah. Wait,
but
Djokovic
that's kind
is
of like
194?
He's like 192, I believe.
Oh wow.
He's at least 189. Like he's not shorter than that.
Okay.
Yeah. So do you feel like because I when we were talking, like you said, like you maybe wanted to like draft some questions as well. Do you have anything else that you wanted to ask me or something?
Yeah.
I guess it's yeah.
So what do you think would be the best way for somebody to learn tennis from scratch? Do you think it has to be through a coach? Do you think you can do it alone? What do you think is the ideal method for somebody, 24, still has a lot of energy, wants to pick up tennis?
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of like two cases, right? Like it depends on. So suppose you have money. If you have money, go for the coach. Like I mean, it's probably the best way to like actually learn it. You're gonna advance far more in your game, and he's gonna help you like to actually enjoy the game, and you're gonna do some drills and stuff like that, and by the end of the day you're gonna feel like you did some progress.
Agreed.
Whereas
Drills,
if you just
that's
kind of
something
like,
we haven't talked about, but yeah, drills are key.
Yeah, drills are amazing. I miss them so much. Yeah. So but if you just kind of like, oh, I just want to pick up the game and whatever, like you can definitely do as you do, like in terms of like just watching games and but two things that are very important is either you have a partner to play constantly with, like very like regularly, or you have a place or you have a wall that you can hit against. For a long part of like my when I was playing, like when I was like 15 or whatever, I didn't have that many tennis like hitting partners and whatever. I had all of my classes and whatnot, but like when it came time, just kind of like I just wanted to practice, I couldn't just hit by myself, so I would just hit against the wall, and it's one of the most fantastic things, honestly, that he does to your game, because you keep your timing and you keep the feel of the ball, and you can practice your footwork and stuff. It's not gonna be incredibly like an accuracy practice, but at least you're gonna get like used to hitting it. And it's probably one of the most important things. There's something that I found online, which was I found it on Twitter. I think I saw Andy Murray playing on a video or stuff, and he was hitting against a wall, and it's literally a wall that you can buy. Like you can buy a tennis wall.
Really?
Yeah, so they have two models, the pro one and the portable one.
Well, the pro one.
Yeah, the pro one is like $13,000. So
my
like,
goodness,
forget about it. Like you can only buy it if it's like for an association. There's no way you can buy it just for yourself. Like I don't know, man. Like I'd rather buy like whatever, a car or something like that. maybe a trip to Hawaii. Everything. That's a lot of money. But the other one's like 2,000. So I feel like I can make that concession for myself.
Yeah, 2,000. Yeah, it's not too bad.
Yeah, especially because like in Quebec, I don't know how it is there in Brampton, but and I never found a wall to play against here. It's like it's impossible.
Not that many
Like,
there either. It's definitely not a common thing. I don't actually remember seeing one. Actually, no, I do remember seeing one at a tennis court. It wasn't a wall as much as a big piece of wood, kind of tacked onto a fence. So the bounce of the ball was super weird, and it was hard to get a predictable bounce. It wasn't like a brick, solid brick wall where you can get a predictable bounce. So it wasn't even like kind of fit for practice, I would say. But then going off of your point about the tennis partner, do you think it's important to have one tennis partner, or just saying that you need to have somebody to play with, a lot at all times? Do you think that consistency of having that same person with you is part of it, or you're just saying, have somebody you can play with?
I think having somebody to play with that is your level or a little higher is key to, and I don't think you necessarily need to have like just one, but I feel like you shouldn't be having like 20, like if you can get like a solid like 3 to 4, I guess it's pretty decent. Because at least like when you get that consistency, you're also able to help each other out, because you're gonna notice things in each other's game. But also having some variety also helps you to kind of like not just get used to just one person.
Right.
But that's kind of like, in the grand scheme of things, there's this very competitive style. Like if you want to actually get better and play in various circumstances, yes. But if you just kind of have like because like I would say, like for example, it's not very easy to match like schedules with people.
Oh yeah.
So having more people definitely helps to like get yourself to actually be playing more, because it's going to be easier to match your schedules with 5 people than just one. But yeah, I guess it all depends on like what are your goals with it. So I guess for me, I would love to, I guess primarily for me, I would try to join a club and make contacts there, and just kind of like play in the club with like whoever is available to play with me, and try to get in touch with some people that I know are good and are serious about it and stuff like that. So that would be fun. And getting a coach, but that's kind of like because I just really, really want to get better. But if you want to just pick up tennis and just kind of like play, really nothing prevents you from just like purchasing a racket from Walmart and just kind of like grabbing a couple friends and playing. It just depends on like how much you want to learn the technique and what kind of fun is it in playing for you. Because like I know for me and you, like you like to get better, right? And I like to get better too. It's like for me, it's no fun if I'm just kind of like tossing balls to the other side of the net, like with no, like just kind of like trying trick shots and like just having some laughs about like just whatever. I actually like to like have a decent rally in which I can actually concentrate and hit some good shots.
Yeah.
When I leave the day, even if I have like a really terrible time and like I'm not hitting the ball well, I know that I at least tried. But if I just kind of like know that it's kind of like, oh yeah, this is not challenging at all, this is not really making me improve, it's immediately it feels like in a sense like a waste of time. But it's not with everybody. Like it depends on like how I go to the court. But like most of the time when I decided to play, and it just kind of like, oh, I just kind of like came here to just feed balls into like someone else's forehand, and they're just not serious at all.
Yeah.
It really feels frustrating.
Yeah.
So, and that's like one of the reasons why, like, even though when we came to play together for the first few times, you were not quite as good as you are now.
You can be less polite. You can be less diplomatic. That was
The
pretty
price
bad.
sucked, bro. But yeah, I had my fun with that, but it was good because you always wanted to actually hit some decent forehands and backhands and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
So that really was a motivation for me. So yeah, that's the thing. And because like you live like 15 minutes from my house, it's kind of like we just walk to the court. So that was also really motivating.
Yep. And how do you feel about doubles? Where does double fit
Doubles?
in the whole, learning or picking up tennis? I think that's a good way you put it. In picking up tennis.
I guess. I actually wanted to ask you about that too. Like, what do you feel about doubles? But like, I guess we can just converse about it right now. So, I like doubles. I feel like doubles are less demanding in the sense that like you have a partner with there, so like you're not gonna hit most of the shots, and you can get like somebody who actually helps you like in real time, and it really helps you with your volleys, man. And to be honest, doubles is also less physically demanding, so you can play for longer and you get less tired. So doubles is a really, really friendly game to play recreationally. So it's a great start and a great pastime hobby to play just doubles. It's so much fun, and you get so much better at your volleys. Honestly, your volleys is this thing that I have that is the weakest in my game. It has always been, and doubles would do me such a great yeah.
Double does a great service to your volley when you play it a lot. I do enjoy doubles as well. Actually I wasn't fond of doubles when I started. I think, if you remember, I said I don't like team sports, and doubles is just making my favorite sport into a team sport. So I wasn't the biggest fan at first. Because when I first started, I sucked. And, I only started playing doubles maybe, I want to say 2 years ago, at which point I was already pretty decent at tennis, but then adapting to not being the only person on the court and having to listen to instructions and, necessarily not that I was being coached as we were playing, but having to communicate with your partner is something I struggled with a little bit because I tend to be just in my own head and wanting to do my own thing.
Yeah,
but once you get better at that, doubles is a really fun sport. I really like playing doubles. I think, yes, for the net game, but just for how different it is than singles. For the fact that you do have to communicate with your partner, and I kind of enjoy that now. And it's a whole different strategy too when you build a point a lot differently in singles than in doubles. And another kind of bonus reason why I like doubles is because I get to play with old people. At tennis club in Brampton, there's a lot of people that are retired and fairly old, and they're a lot of fun. I love playing with old people. They're some of them are super competitive. You have the ones that are like honestly, you would think that some of them have like money at stake in the games.
Oh wow!
But no, it makes it a lot of fun. Yeah, good diversity in doubles.
Yeah, I think old people are kind of they're really a challenge, I guess, for like when you're younger and you just feel like you're gonna beat them by just kind of like running around the court. Because I find like they have such a mental strength that is not present in young people.
Yeah,
they're so calm and they just know their strengths and weaknesses. It just kind of like, even though that you can run much faster, you can hit much harder, they still beat you. It's kind of like, how is this possible?
I've gotten beaten by a few retirees, but in my days, I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, but yeah, they just do teach you a lesson of just kind of like being calm on court, which is very important for tennis. And back a little bit to the doubles conversation, I think one of the things that, in terms of the pro game, I think is pretty underrated, even by the own tennis the associations. I don't necessarily think they give that much more space for doubles. It's a fast game. I feel like it's so much easier to consume than singles. It's so much faster. It ends quicker. The scoring system is slightly different to make it go faster. So I really feel like this would solve the problem essentially of like people like sitting for 5 hours, and there are doubles games that are 5 hours long, but it's so rare that a doubles game will go that long. So yeah, like if you in an hour you can finish like a doubles game that was pretty competitive. So Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
And why do you think do you think the reason it's not as popular is just because of the networks and how the tour is set up? Or do you think there's something about it that makes it a little bit less popular?
I have no idea, man. Like I really asked myself this question before, and I've never really got the reason why exactly it's not as popular. I think it's just because of what the media makes out of it. Like
Mm-hmm.
because probably like when you play tennis for 5 hours, you have like more time on screen, so it probably comes up to like a money type of thing.
I see. Yeah.
So I don't know. So yeah, and maybe people like prefer singles as well. I don't know. Like I've never really done like a research about it. So yeah, but yeah, I guess this will be our time. Has been 45 minutes that we've been
That's
talking.
it?
According to my my podcast runs for like 30 to 45 minutes. I don't know if I want to make like that many too long things, unless you have like 3 more questions that you really are itching to ask.
No.
Mm.
You answered all my questions.
Oh, cool. That's great. So that's a great timing. Yeah. Anyways, yeah. Thanks so much, bro. Make sure that you share this with all your friends and family.
Will do.
And
Thank you for having me.
oh, no problem. I would have you again if you want to.
Yes, please.
And
That's quite
yeah,
fun.
if you end up actually joining, like getting some lessons and stuff, like maybe we can do another conversation, or you can just tell me how that went, and I can just kind of compare that to when I was like 12 and stuff. Yeah.
That's a good idea.
Yep. So yeah, thanks so much, bro. And thanks for whoever listens to this to completion. So yeah, thanks so much for listening. So go and follow my Instagram at Tennis and Bagels, and also like my Facebook page. You're really close to 100 followers and 100 likes on Facebook. I'm at 94 likes on Facebook, so help me out. That'll be a great milestone for me. So yeah, thanks so much
Nice.
for listening. And thanks so much, Fred, for being here with me. And yeah, have a good one, man.
Thank you. You too.
Yep. Enjoy time with your family and stay safe, man.
Thanks. You too. Have a good one.
Yeah. Bye, man.